Good evening. This Committee of Adjustment meeting of December the 7th, 2021 will come to order. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of the committee, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, please note that, Madam Clerk. We will go now to the planner to announce the purpose of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Committee of Adjustment tonight is holding a public hearing in accordance with Section 45 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended, in order to consider 5 applications for relief from Bylaw 2009-021, being the comprehensive zoning bylaw for the Township of Selwyn. The prescribed notices of the public meetings or this public meeting for these applications were provided by prepaid first-class mail to all residents within a 60-meter radius of the subject properties. Ministries and agencies were circulated via email. The subject properties were posted with a sign advertising the public hearing. The notices were also available on the township's website. The notice circulation complies with the requirements of the Planning Act. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn before any of the variants tonight are granted, the person or public body may not be entitled to appeal the decision of the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn on the proposed minor variances, you must make written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn by mail, fax, email, or Dropbox. So our first application tonight is A57-2021. This is for 2838 Lakefield Road. We are asking tonight that we just go ahead with the public meeting and defer decision on this particular file based on a recommendation from the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority. I'll get to their comments at the end of it. I'll just describe the application. This is in order to permit the establishment of 109.19 square meter or 1175.32 square foot second dwelling unit in an existing accessory structure. The relief being requested is to increase the maximum setback for a second unit located in an accessory structure from 30 meters to 53.9 meters from the principal dwelling. Generally, I found through my report that it meets the 4 tests of a minor variance, with the one caveat with the ORCA comments. Just briefly, Peterborough Public Health supports the application with permits, of course. A restricted land use notice has been issued by the Conservation Authority because this is in the site is in a source water protection area with no risk to water supply noted in that those comments. And we also have comments of no concern from the Pine Ridge District School Board. With regard to the planning aspects from the Conservation Authority, there's an issue of safe access to the proposed second dwelling unit since the driveway crosses a stream. So as a result of that, we've been advised that there's a potential flood hazard in the area and that this means of access, it needs to be demonstrated that during a flood event, that there's adequate culverts in place, that continues to be safe access to the proposed second dwelling unit during a flood event. So that's why we're asking for deferral, and there's a condition of our approval, or there isn't a condition of approval. We're not doing that, but we're going to wait until we get notice from the Conservation Authority that the applicant in this case has demonstrated the safe access to the Conservation Authority's satisfaction. That's it for that particular application. So we're going ahead with the public meeting. If there's any public comments on this file, or if there's any questions from the committee, I'd be happy to take those.
Thank you very much. Deputy Clerk, is there anyone who signed on to speak in favor or against this application?
We have no one here for this application, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. I'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Anita.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is with regards to a second unit. So is it going to be like a granny suite? I know we have a second unit policy or bylaw, whatever, but who is intended to live in this second unit? You know?
I believe it's in this case, it could be anybody. But I just want to be using it as sort of a unit to themselves. Yeah, that's as far as I understand. But it could be potentially rented out to anybody. This is a little bit different than granny suites in that second units are permanent, where granny suites are supposed to be, eventually end their use, right? I should mention too, I forgot, one of the big issues tonight, last minute, we did get comments from Curve Lake on all 5 applications tonight. In this particular one, they are asking for an archaeological assessment. We're not making a decision tonight on it, but it's not one of my recommended conditions for this particular application, due to the fact that this particular dwelling unit is going into an existing structure. So there's no excavation required for this one. It's just a renovation of the interior space. But Curve Lake has submitted comments that they would like to see an archaeological assessment in this case.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions? Andy?
Has the owner or the agent been advised of the conservation authorities?
Yes, yes, they have. Yeah, through their contractor, Kawartha Lakes Construction. Mario Yee is been given a copy of these comments, and I've been advised by him that he's trying to get in touch with the conservation authority to find out exactly what details they need to fulfill their
Because that's
particular
the question.
requirements.
What do they need to do to satisfy that?
Yeah, so the conservation authority's comments as we've received them have been given to Mario, and he's seeking clarification on what exactly is needed at this point in time.
Jerry?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. And I'm going to talk about all the minor variances tonight, as with all respect, Per brought it up, of the late response by Curve Lake today. So we've got numerous ones here tonight that didn't require an archaeological dig as of the 4 o'clock cutoff. I'm concerned that because it was not, because I came in late and these people were not planning on having to do that. I don't know what their budgetary constraints are. I know trades are very tough to find right now. But how do we know that they didn't secure, say, a landscaper or something because they knew they weren't going to have to spend the $2,000, $3,000, $10,000, whatever it comes to, maybe laid a deposit down so they could secure it? How do we achieve the balance here in trying to please Curve Lake when they were late by the 11 minutes with the 4 o'clock cutoff, and the fairness to our customers here? Because I don't think it's fair that they can just fire that in at any old time and maybe screw up somebody's plans.
So through you, Madam Chair, I can answer that briefly in this way, that the planning department, we do use the provincial checklist to go through to meet. There's certain criteria there that the province recommends in certain circumstances that an archaeological assessment be obtained. So in a couple of instances already in the files that we're considering tonight, we have recommended that an archaeological assessment be obtained. As we go through them tonight, for the ones that didn't, I can provide our rationale for why we didn't request it in those, or recommend it in those instances that we didn't. And then beyond that, it would be up to the committee to take into consideration Curve Lake's comments and make a determination on whether we need to add to the conditions of approval or not.
I prefer actually to deal with them on a application by application basis. Andy?
So to Per's point, when you make your decision on this one, based on the guidelines that are contained in the sports and culture.
Yeah, it's a Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industries these days. It's quite a mouthful. MHSTCI.
And essentially, if I understand correctly, if you're within 500 meters of water, then these guidelines would come into play. And essentially, if the land isn't being disturbed, or if the land is likely to have been disturbed sometime in the, I think it's 60 years, I forget, but it goes back, then you wouldn't apply a condition for it. That's normally what you do. To Councillor Heron's point, if I understand correctly, this would not be the first time. We've had several applications over the last couple of years since we've been dealing with these, where our planner has said that they don't believe that that condition should be there, and Curve Lake has felt differently, and at the end of the day, we've gone along with our planner. This is not something that's new here today. It's new in the sense that it was tardy, if I could put it that way, in terms of getting here, but we follow the guidelines as put forward by the ministry, and that's what we generally do. And from time to time, there's a difference of opinion about the particular application.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Yes, Jerry.
And if I could, through you, Madam Chair, to Mr. Mitchell's comments there, and I get that we've had differences and we were working through some of the bugs and the bumps in the road when we first started there within the last couple of years. However, the fact that the rules and the guidelines that we put out by 4 p.m., that's my argument on it, is they were late with their comments. And we all know that the Curve Lake is very, they're sticklers about rules and principle. So I believe that we need to be sticklers about rules and principle as well. So it was 4 o'clock and we received them at 4:11.
All right, thank you. So are you making a motion that that condition not be present with this application, Mr. Herron?
Yes.
Do you have a seconder?
But the recommend.
Excuse me, I'm going to be dealing with A 5721 because there's a deferral requested. So we will deal with that before we move on to the other applications. And I think it's only fair to the applicant to know whether they have to abide by this condition that is been asked for. So that's why Mr. Herron has moved it. I'm looking for a seconder. Donna?
I'm just reading this again. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. So we didn't mention anything about needing an archaeological assessment on this one.
No, we're not making that, through you, Madam Chair, we're not making that recommendation in this case as a condition of approval when we get to that stage.
But Curve Lake has asked for one.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, they have.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor. Yes, Anita.
Okay, so in the report on page 5 is where he, in accordance with provincial policy section 5233, the proposed development was vetted against the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Sport checklist to assist in determining whether an archaeological assessment is required, and an assessment is not warranted in this context. So the report does
Yes.
clearly say, and I think Jerry is correct in terms of, we have to kind of
So are you willing to second that motion?
second that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? That's carried. And now I'm looking for a motion to defer this application. Jerry, Donna, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Pair A 5821, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Moving on to A 5821. This application is for 1512 Selwyn Road. There's a number of variances requested here to reduce the minimum setback for non-residential use from 40 meters to 33 meters from the center line of Selwyn Road, to decrease the minimum setback for a non-residential use from 40 meters to 37 meters from the center line of Long Point Road, to decrease the minimum exterior side yard setback for a non-residential use from 30 meters to 23 meters, and to decrease the minimum front yard setback for a non-residential use from 30 meters to 27 meters. This involves the construction of a 312.2 square meter or 3,360.49 square foot farm storage building. Again, in this particular case, I find that the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. We have comments from Autonomy Region Conservation Authority, no concern. We have comments from Peter Public Health, no objection to the application, as well as the Port Pine Ridge District School Board. And we did, as we were discussing earlier, we received comments from Curve Lake for this application as well. However, given my report already is already making recommendation to include an archaeological assessment, since this is a new structure in a previously undisturbed site. So I find no contrary recommendation between Township's planning report and Curve Lake's comments. Those are my comments on that particular file. So if there are any questions, or if I believe in this case, there's somebody here to present for this file as well.
All right, thank you. So Deputy Clerk, we have the agent here, Paul Hutter. Would you like to add anything to the comments that have been made, Mr. Hutter?
No, I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. And the owner, Dina Martin, is here. Do you have anything you wish to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And I understand there is someone in opposition. Is that so, Deputy Clerk?
That is correct.
Mr. Reg Wadby, do you have something that you would like to say, Mr. Wadby? You may be muted.
Hello, I'm just wondering why they need to build it closer to the road than the guidelines. Why it can't be set back farther. That's a large field over there across the road from my house.
Through you, Madam Chair, I can answer that question. The applicant's agent may wish to add something further as well, but to my understanding, the site where the building is going to be located is the ideal flat spot that utilizes the existing driveway to access the site. It's just the ideal location to put that building in terms of a flat area that is also currently accessed by the current driveway.
And also, I'm wondering, because we have a nice view of Chemong Lake when there's no leaves on the trees, but how that's going to affect the view of from my property. And do they have plans down the road possibly to build a residential building or more farm buildings or whatever over there?
So through you, Madam Chair, I'm not just, I prepared for tonight's meeting an overview sketch for the committee. Your particular property is sort of to the northeast from where this building is going to be, and it's approximately 300 feet away. So I'm not sure it's going to obstruct your view to the lake at all. In terms of future buildings, there's no future buildings that I'm aware of that are being proposed, but the applicant's agent may have more comment on that in terms of future plans for the property.
Mr. Hutter, did you have anything else that you wish to add to this?
I don't have anything else to add, and this here is the only plan going forward right now.
Thank you. Mr. Wadby, were you done?
No, that Mr. Hutter said that no plans right now. I'm asking, and I understand that Dina Martin is present in this meeting, and do they themselves think they may want to build a house or other buildings in that field across the road from my house in the future, whether that's a year down the road or 5 years down the road?
Mr. Wadby, we are dealing.
Come from, they may be wanting to build a retirement residence over there. I don't know. And I also asked how tall this building would be, how many feet high it would be, or meters.
Before you get the answer on the height of the building, we're dealing with the application before us tonight, sir. We don't look at future possibilities. Pear, do you have that height?
Through you, Madam Chair, just to give me a second here. I'm just looking through the drawings to find the height of the building here. Should actually look at my report because it'll be in there. So it's proposed at 6.5 meters.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I'm going to bring this to committee. Are there any questions with regards to this application with the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to A 5921, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A 5921. This is for 1209 New Forest Drive. This is for a redevelopment of the site with a 334.39 square meter or approximately 3,600 square foot building, which includes an attached garage as well as front and rear covered porches, as well as a approximately 36 square meter or 390 square foot open deck. So the variances required are to decrease the minimum setback from the high water mark from 30 meters to 15.10 meters to a dwelling and from 30 meters to 10.44 meters to an open deck, as well as to decrease the minimum interior side yard setback from 3 meters to 1.71 meters, and to increase the maximum lot coverage of all buildings and structures from 20 to 21.9%. As outlined in my report, I find that it generally meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. We have comments of no concern from the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board. The Conservation Authority has laid out some concerns in regard to a small portion of the property or the proposed dwelling is within a flooding hazard. It's not the entire building envelope. It's to the north west corner. It's a small area, roughly 300-ish square feet. That will need to be, as a condition of approval, the fill will need to be placed in that area and demonstrated to be outside of the floodplain before the township will issue a building permit. Since generally provincial policy prohibits development in a floodplain. This is the way we're going to address that particular issue in this instance. And the Conservation Authority is supporting that approach by the township. Also, Peterborough Public Health is supporting this application, provided that a sewage system permit is provided. Conservation Authority, or sorry, the Curve Lake First Nation has provided comments that an archaeological assessment is needed. In this particular case, due to its a redevelopment of the site. My report and the planning department's recommendation is also to obtain an archaeological assessment in this particular instance. So if there's any, I think somebody was here to present for this one, or if there's comments or questions from the committee, happy to take those.
Thank you very much. Deputy Clerk, I understand the agent is here, Peter Giordano, and he has a small PowerPoint presentation. Mr. Giordano, would you like to begin, please?
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Can you see my screen that I've shared?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Peter Giordano, David Small Designs, 1405 Cornwall Road in Oakville, the authorized agent. The subject property is that we're presenting here today is an elongated pie-shaped trapezoid, very long but also very narrow. Lot lines in the street at the front end of the property is only 5.52 meters wide. We're removing a one-story dwelling and a detached one-story garage. We're here today requesting your consideration on 3 variances. Item number 1 is requesting a decrease in the minimum, decrease in the minimum setback from the high water mark to the house. That's this dimension in here, from 30 meters to 15.10 meters. From the deck, 30 meters to 10.44. The irregular shape of the shoreline cuts back quite dramatically in here, and the closest point is the dimension where the reduced number is taken to. We had limited options for the location of the septic field. That's indicated here in green. It's at the front of the property. We had to fit the septic field at the front and then the driveway loaded in. We had to side load the garage in order to access the house. In effect, it resulted in the house being, with this narrow property, being pushed quite far towards the back of the house, increasing the front yard setback, but decreasing the location of the rear yard setback and the proximity to the lake. We're also, item number 2 requests a decrease in the minimum interior side yard from 3 meters to 1.71. This applies to this side only, not to the opposite side where we're in conformance with the bylaw. As mentioned above, again, the rationale is that the forcing of the house further towards the back, trying to side load the garage, fit a dwelling unit that had a good location away from the edge of water, effectively forced the building to be a little wider. Then item number 3 is increase in the maximum allowable lot coverage from 20% to 21.9. So we're asking for a 1.9% increase in the coverage. It would be noted, I've got the chart here, that the house itself occupies, the house and the garage occupies only 17.43% of that area. The remaining area is the front porch, the rear covered porch, and the rear uncovered porch. Significant design requirements for the house included barrier-free design. So our client is a wheelchair-bound client, often more active and capable than most of us, but he requires increased halls, doorways, rooms, flushed entries, and a ramp to get him from the back of the house up. This also contributes to the increase in the coverage amount. We worked with the design to make it work, make it look attractive from the street level, also being well articulated, as you can see in our 4 3D elevations that we show there. Our clients worked carefully with the neighborhood and received support from most of the neighbors, immediate neighbors on the street. The star neighbors are the ones that they have support of. There are a few that are off the map, but still on this main roadway here. The overwhelming majority of the neighbors were willing to support it. Staff reports were commenting on the application, expressed minor comments, but no direct concerns. I acknowledge the concern from conservation. We've been working with them. We feel that what we're going to be proposing will work with what we understand to be the requirements for the floodplain. In conclusion, we believe our proposal to be acceptable, appropriate, pass the 4 tests required by Section 45 of the Planning Act, maintain the intent and purpose of the bylaws in question. That's my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm gladly able to answer them for you.
Does the committee have any questions of the agent? Seeing none, I understand there's someone who is in opposition of this application, Stacy Cram.
It doesn't look like Stacy Cram is with us, actually, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Seeing no one that's in opposition tonight, we'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Andy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the planner, I just want to confirm that the proximity to the high water mark is actually slightly less than what the current building intrudes.
Through you, Madam Chair. No, the existing, the proposed structure is actually a little bit further back than
That's what I said. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I understood the other way around. The proposed is a little further back than the existing. Yeah. Yes. Okay. We're in agreement.
Any other questions? Donna?
Yes, through you to Pear. When you do make the recommendation about the archaeological assessment, you always start with that if there is to be any soil disturbance or excavation, the applicant be required. So when is that determined that there is soil disturbance or excavation? I'm sure there will be here. It seems pretty obvious.
Through you, Madam Chair. I believe it's just sort of standardized wording that for that particular recommendation regarding archaeological assessments that the township's been using in practice for quite a while. But yeah, I mean, obviously the need to have an archaeological assessment is only if you're actually going to conduct that activity and potentially disturb any artifacts in the ground. So if there's some kind of activity occurring that doesn't disturb below grade, obviously you wouldn't be disturbing any artifacts. I think it's just a function of the wording that the township has been using in common practice.
Sorry, does somebody attend and really make sure that there is or isn't soil disturbance?
So Madam Chair, I can maybe talk to, the history behind that particular language.
Sure.
So yeah, so in the vast majority of instances, it's kind of redundant. I mean, this is going to be excavated. There's going to be a foundation, and it's definitely going to happen. But there are instances where, the designer may have designed the deck, with sonotubes where it's going to be excavated, but they may change their mind and use, say, helical piles, right? And so it's been our opinion that if the requirement for the archaeological study is tied to the construction of a deck, and they choose a methodology that isn't going to disturb the soil, they're going to use helical piles, it's just screw piles that really don't disturb anything, then we'd have the latitude then to not require the archaeological assessment because they won't be excavated, right? So it's just, in the odd instance where, the initial submission is made based on a certain set of circumstances and the circumstances change, it gives us the latitude not to require.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? We'll go on to A6021, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is application for A60-21. This is at 1706 Greenwood Lane East. There's only one variance requested here to decrease the minimum setback from the high water mark from 30 meters to 22.8 meters to a dwelling addition. Again, this particular dwelling addition is about 26 square meters or 280 square feet. I believe it's a family room addition to an existing dwelling. My report outlines that the application meets generally, or it meets the intent of the four tests of the minor variance. We have comments from the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority outlining no concern. Just checking here if we included a landscaping plan as part of our conditions of approval here. Yeah, so a landscaping plan is all that the Conservation Authority is requesting in this particular instance. We have comments from Peterborough Public Health of support, provided sewage system permit is provided, and comments of no concern from the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board. In this particular instance, we did not ask for an archaeological assessment, given that the proximity of the proposed addition to the existing dwelling, we considered it part of the original disturbed area of the dwelling. And so we didn't ask, or not recommending in this case, that an archaeological assessment be obtained. Curve Lake is of a different opinion, and they're saying that an archaeological assessment is triggered. If the committee has any questions, I'll be happy to take those, or if there's anybody in attendance with comments or questions.
All right, so I understand that the owners, Robert Zakodny and Kristen Bucci, are on the line. Do either of you have anything you wish to add?
No further comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and there's no one that is in opposition on this application, so I'll bring it to committee. Are there any comments, Jerry?
Thank you. Through you. Same comments as number 57. Basically, I'd like to see the recommendation by Curve Lake not added to any of the conditions for this application, if I could get a second.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for this motion? Jerry?
Can I just seek a point of clarification, Madam Chair?
Yes.
The recommendation right now does not include that provision. Right? We don't need to put a second resolution. Right now, our planner is telling us or suggesting to us to approve this without an archaeological serve it. We just need to vote on the recommendation.
The way it
That
is.
condition is not there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to A 6121, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A 6121, this is for 1489 O'Connor Drive. The relief being requested in this case is to increase the maximum lot coverage of accessory structures from 5% to 8.81%. The development in this case involves the construction of a 72.89 square meter or approximately 785 square foot open deck and a roughly 14 square meter or 150 square foot sunroom. Again, I find that the application meets the four tests of a minor variance as outlined in my report. The Conservation Authority in this case has provided comments of no concern, provided some sedimentation erosion control measures are put into place. These are part of the conditions of approval. Peter Public Health has no issues with the application, provided a sewage permit is obtained prior to building permit. And the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board has no problems with this particular application as well. Curve Lake in this particular instance is again recommending an archaeological assessment due to the fact that the planning department, I looked at this application and this is a reconstruction of an existing deck. So it's a previously disturbed area. I find that an archaeological assessment is not needed in this particular instance. And so those are my comments on this particular application. If there's further comments or questions, I'd be happy to take those.
All right, thank you. Deputy Clerk, is there anyone on the line in support or against this application?
We have no one here for this application, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll bring it to committee. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, I will look for someone to move the other applications. Anita and Jerry. All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And our minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting of November the 23rd. Andy and Donna, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting will be January the 18th. Jerry and Anita. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And that's it.
was up. We're ready to go? Yep, okay. Okay, colleagues, it being 6 o'clock, we're going to call the regular council meeting to order for December the 7th. And we'll begin with our land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga and Ashbek. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. I ask that we please observe a moment of silence so that council, staff, and members of the public can quietly reflect on our duty to the community that we are trying to serve. Thank you. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of council, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and are made available on the internet. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? None was noted. So we're going to begin, before we get to the deputations, and we have a number of them to do, we're going to address our minutes. So we have the minutes that have been circulated for the regular meeting of the 23rd of November and the special meeting of November the 18th. Donna will move that, seconded by Anita. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, colleagues, we're going to do some pleasant business, and we have some deputation. So first of all, I'd ask that everybody keep their camera off and their mic muted until such a time as we're going to be recognizing you. So we're going to start, first of all, with a couple of staff introductions. And I understand that that Rick will be introducing these two individuals. And so the first one is Derek, a mechanic equipment operator. I think Derek will come on Zoom. There he is. Hello. And if you want to go ahead, Rick, I think Rick is online as well. So Rick, you want to do the introductions?
Yeah, can you hear me?
You sure can.
Yeah, we have Derek. He started there. Oh, he's been here. Must be been there a month. Well, I guess not. Anyways, in November he started. But yeah, he came from us. He got his apprenticeship from attorneys. And yeah, he seems to be really nice to get along with. So we hope a long relationship with him. You want to say anything there, Derek?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for helping me on board, and it's been fun. I've been there. It's my third week there now. It's been a lot of fun, learning lots. So I just want to thank everybody. I plan on sticking around for a little while. It seems like a good place to work, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, great. It's great to have you aboard, and we appreciate all your hard work, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And is Corey will also join us. Corey is next.
Hi, Corey. Can you turn on your camera? Great.
There
Thank
he
you.
is. Hi, Corey. How are you doing? Good. And I think, Rick, you're also going to do the introductions?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we've had Corey here for a month for sure. He's been helping us out. He's got a bit of experience from Peterborough County plowing, so he's been a great help to get us through a little bit of difficult times right now. And yeah, he's been in the excavating for a few years, so he's another great asset to us. Say anything there, Corey? Oh, you're muted, Corey.
Yeah, just thanks for want to say thanks for the opportunity and everything. It's awesome, and it's nice to work for a township that I live and growing up in, so it's definitely nice.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's wonderful to have you aboard. And as well, we look forward to working with you, and thanks for all your service. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So those were our two staff introductions, and now we're going to move on to a couple of long service awards. So we've got two actually retirements to recognize. And so the first is Dawn Telford, And I think Don is joining us by phone, and Rick will be saying a few words. So Rick and Don, if you want to go ahead.
You there, Don, are you? I don't know if he's there or not.
Yep. Okay. I just got unmuted, Rick. Yep.
Oh, very good. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything's going good.
Yeah, we've been fine. Yep. It's, retirement is a different phase of life, so it's a little getting used to, but it's been good. I don't have to go in these bad days.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Well, Don, he started with the township in 2005, helping with the landfill and with the roads department. He's always been a great asset, and he was willing to do anything that he could to help us all out. And it was just been a pleasure working with you, Don.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate that. For the 16 plus years, it's been a good learning experience for me, and I had a lot of great guys to work with. Everyone brings something different to the table, whether it's patching holes or I was at roadside cutting and brushing, so on. And latter few years, it's been at the landfill strictly, and I had some great people there to work with, Randy in particular, and Smitty over the years, and Dave recently came, and then of course Sharon and Sonia, and so it's been really great to be part of the township makeup. And like I said, I learned a lot. I only brought so much, very little talent I had, but I appreciated the time to participate in it. And it was a job that was well timed for me, because the past I had in the beef business was at a pretty low point, and then Jim Hickson gave me the chance to work with the group, and I believe it was a real job that came from God, because it was a privilege to take part in it. So I appreciated the years. I loved it. I had fun with it. The people were good in the public. Meet different people every day, and it was a good experience. So good things about it.
Well, thank you very much, Don, and thank you for your service, and we wish you well in retirement. And it was great that had a chance to say a few words tonight. So thank you. And I think we have a second retirement as well, and this one I think Lane is joining us with. I don't know, Lane is coming in via phone as well, and Scott is going to be there. Lane is on Zoom. And is Scott coming in by Zoom?
Yeah, I think Scott will be joining us, Mr. Mayor. Wanted to thank Council for the opportunity to say a few words about Scott. We've actually known each other since the 80s at Trent University, so this could go on for a while. When the township had the opportunity to offer Scott employment as our facility maintenance coordinator back in 2009, I knew he'd be a great choice. It didn't take long for Dennis and I to see Scott's full abilities, and so the special projects coordinator role was added to Scott's task list. This took the township into the world of solar generation, LED streetlight installations, various climate change improvements, and truly making long-term decisions when completing our much-needed facility repairs. Scott has been responsible for implementing literally millions of dollars of facility improvements and investments in our community, and always with a binder full of information at his side and a smile, and the occasional chuckle as well as we would go over projects. As council would be aware, Scott officially retired in February of this year, but the township engaged Scott in a part-time contract to go over some last building projects that were underway. And that's proof that I have a hard time letting go of really good people. So I appreciate everything Scott's done for me over the years. I wish Scott and his partner Jill all the best in retirement, and know that they have many adventures awaiting them in the years to come. Thanks very much, Scott. Over to you.
Thanks, Lane. Much appreciated. I think I'm looking forward now at this point to wrapping up the last project that's on the go. It's a construction project that's taken longer than I think any of us imagined it would have, but we're almost there. Should the former Scout building should be complete within the next few weeks, I think. And at that point, I'll get to hang up my hat officially and move on to retirement. And I've got a project list as long as my arm here at home, so there'll be lots to keep busy with here. Now, I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity to work for the township. It's been a great organization to work for. I got to be involved in projects that were, I think, tremendous things for a municipality to take on, and I'm glad to have been a part of things.
Well, thank you very much, Scott, and we want to extend to you our appreciation for all of your hard work and the things that you've done, including those last projects which you're bringing to fruition. So thank you very much, and all the best in retirement. And I hope you have an opportunity to enjoy yourself. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we'll now move on to our volunteer firefighter long service awards, those that are 25 years plus. And there he is.
Yep.
Gord, how you
Good
doing?
evening, members of council. Long time no see.
How you feeling, Gord?
We're coming. It's a little tough sitting in this chair, but yeah, it's. I would never thought that the ribs would hurt this bad. I broke a couple before in hockey, a few years back, but not this bad. This not fun, to say the least. So we're coming. A lot of whining.
Well, good to hear you're on the mend.
So tonight, it's always a great honor, especially for me to always, look forward to a long service award, and don't necessarily look forward to the retirement of firefighters. But tonight we've got 3 firefighters that with a combined 120 years, which is kind of phenomenal. So we'll start off with we got 2 lads tonight that are 30-year members. Eric Bloomfield, I'll start with Eric. He it was a long time Lakefield habitat man, and started in 1991 with Hall 2, which was Lakefield, the village of Lakefield at that time. So in the last 4 years, almost maybe 5 now, Eric, that you've moved up to the good end of the good end of the township, the north end up here, and has been part of Hall 4. So Eric, again, has done a lot of calls over the years, and he's kind of one of our go-to people through the daytime right now, since he's retired. I believe he's out of GE and a couple other places, Eric. So congratulations, Eric. It's been a great 30 years, and you're still with us today. You want to come on there, my man?
Sorry, if I could just interrupt for a moment. Eric is on. He is unmuted. Eric, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah. Hello.
Did you want to say a few words?
Just it's been a great department to work with, and when the townships amalgamated there, everybody was very welcoming and so on, and it's been a great group of guys and gals to work with, and thanks for council support for the fire department. So it's all good. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. As a lot of you know, it's usually Fred around the fire hall. So I'm not sure where that nickname come from, but thanks, Fred. Next one, Scotty Hurd. Scotty, like myself, started up here in the north end in Hall 4 at the Curve Lake Hall. And again, Scott's another one that started in 1991. I think at the point Oz Westlake was still chief, and Oz, is there anybody up there that you can find? I said, yeah, I know a couple lads. And at that time, Scott's younger brother, it was maybe just not old enough yet, but yeah, Scotty approached Scotty. I think Randy Jopling did do the deputy, and got Scotty all signed up, and Scott's been on since. So again, as Scotty's moved around, he's part of Hall 3 right now as he lives on Buckhorn Road, just south of Selwyn there. So congratulations, Scott, 30 years, unbelievable, eh?
So it doesn't look like Scott Hurd is with us today.
Okay.
Well, you may be out plowing. No, no plowing tonight. So again, we've again, another young lad a little earlier here was young Corey Fitzgerald. So another neighbor of mine, so I can tap on him, make sure this road keeps nice and clean up here in the north end. We'll move on to this one is really kind of special. As most of you on council are maybe have worked with this gentleman, and I think is Norm on? I don't see him up. Oh, there he is. Yeah, as most of you know, Norm's been around this township all his life, and he's been part of this seat over there where Janice sits right now. So for the long time, and you know, it's been kind of special the last years that I've been on that I've got to take Norm through 40, 45, 50, 55 years. And good God, I could get to take him through 60 years of firefighting. And it is unbelievable that somebody has put that much time and that much effort in and still loves what he does today. I tell you, it makes a guy awful proud, but you got to have a smile and a red face just to bring him out. So, and still healthy as a horse and still loves what he's doing. Norm, 60 years is phenomenal. And actually, I don't have his pin tonight, but we'll do that a little more officially again when we have our Christmas do, and council will be all on Zoom here in January. But when you show us the pin for 60 years, it's quite a conglomerate of things on it. And the OFM has never really had to do one like that. So they were kind of scrambling on how they're going to make this pin up for the jacket. So it was kind of fun. So Norm, congratulations, 60 years, phenomenal. That just like, you know, that takes in the two last lads together. Go ahead, Norm.
Well, indeed, thanks, Gord. Every day is rewarding, really, when you can certainly get out there and assist your neighbors and friends, and the payback is there. It's just when somebody, you get talking to them afterwards and they come back and they shake your hand and say, God, you sure helped me out of quite a situation here. I really love this. But that's the part that's rewarding as far as I'm concerned about being a firefighter. And it's just wonderful, really. I enjoy it, always have.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, when you hired me, and just that's what you kind of instilled again and brought that back. And that makes all the difference in the world to helping that person even across the road from you. So
yeah,
makes a difference.
Sure.
It's huge.
And it's awarding you even what you learn yourself. Mind you,
Yeah.
when I had that bit of a stroke back 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, hey, you knew right off the bat what it was all about. And of course, I'm at home, you go in with the ambulance, and right within 45 minutes, you're talking to a doctor in Toronto. Just think about this, right?
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. So it's really, it helps me and it helps everybody. No, it's great.
Awesome, Norm. Yeah, so we'll do this again and with all our peers and in a month or so, and we'll have some fun again.
Great. Look forward to it.
So that's our long service.
Well, thank you, Norman. Congratulations. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now we have some retirement score. Think you're muted, Gord.
Okay, there we go. Probably hitting buttons I don't know I'm hitting again. So as I said previously, I hate losing people. And you know, here's three gentlemen that have put a combined, well, actually I didn't do the math. So let's see, 193, 94, 115 years almost altogether combined with these three gentlemen. So I'll maybe start with Tim Gingrich, as he's probably the youngest one of them all. And Tim would be my age, so he's still the youngest one of them all. So Tim decided that, it was time to maybe hang up the old helmet and, after, I think, 27-year career, Tim, 28 probably going on, that Tim started, I guess it was what, 1985 in Elmira as a firefighter down there.
Yes, 1985.
Yeah, and then for 4 or 5 years down there, and then at that time, around that time, Tim moved up to the township up here, and he was on in 93. He took a little time off there, and it wasn't too much, and he's put in a solid 28 years with us for the township. So he started pretty well all 3 and stayed there until the last couple of years, and he and Linda moved down Lily Lake Road. It'd be a little closer for both of them to work and closer to the kids and grandkids. And yeah, so yeah, it's been a good 27-year career there, Timmy.
Well, thanks, Gord. It's been a pleasure to serve the township through the fire department. It's really been a learning curve for me. There was a lot of things I learned and a lot of new friends and good friends that over the years, and it was really appreciated to work for the township.
All right. And our second gentleman tonight, as you know, Ron Robinson, longtime firefighter. Ron started 1978, 43 years ago, Ron. And at that time, both you and your brother pretty well grew up, even before that, as your dad, Don Robinson, was firefighter and deputy chief for Smith Ward for Bridge North Fire Hall, most all your life pretty well. So, it's kind of neat when the 2 brothers grow up beside their dad and carry on for that. So Ron, after 43 years, decided this fall, things have changed in his life, and he's been doing other things. Not too much as you want to do, Ron, until COVID hits, but he's still farming for everybody else around the countryside and whatnot. So Ron, on behalf of all the guys and the girls in the department, great 43 years. Congratulations.
Thanks, Gord. And with this COVID, you don't see everybody as often. You got a different haircut, lad. You're getting white and top. I just got nothing there now. But anyway, I haven't seen Tim and them since I retired. And Norm, congratulations to Tim on his retirement. And Norm, congratulations for 60 years. You think of the good times and there's poor calls in there too, but it's who you're working with day after day. And anyway, congratulations to everybody, and it's been a great time serving the community.
And again, Ronnie, we'll thank you again, and we'll see you again on our Christmas due in January. Thanks again, Ron. Awesome. And last but not least, here's a 51 years of service gentleman that started, again, the Jackman family's been a huge contributor to the Lakefield Fire Department for, my God, many years. George's, I guess would be uncle, was chief of Lakefield for a number of years. And as you know, George and Ted are cousins there, and George went up through to be chief for quite a number of years in Lakefield himself, and until amalgamations and things changed up and they went full-time. George went to a deputy, then a captain, and stayed the captain right through his career until this fall. And it's amazing that he was not going to retire, but certain a couple health issues that he decided that I better look after myself first. And other than everybody else that he's enjoyed looking after the whole village, and then the more the township as it grew after amalgamations. So George, 51 years, phenomenal. Congratulations, my friend. That is a huge understatement in itself. It's 51 years of service. It's unbelievable. So you're on, George, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Gord. I appreciate those kind words. It's 51 years. They feel like they've been really short years. They've gone by pretty fast. We've had a lot of ups in those times and a few lows, but other than that, I've enjoyed my time with the fire department and the good friends and people I've worked with over the years.
Well, to all gentlemen, all you gentlemen tonight, awesome job. And on behalf again of all the guys and girls in this department, congratulations. And for you last three, always stop in for a chat. That's expected. So keep up what's going on. I know Ron asked if he could stay on the Who's Responding, because it's still an interest there just to see what's going on and if whatever. So again, the Who's Responding just keeps you kind of in a loop of have a bit of fun and listen to see what's up. Again, watch the trucks go back and forth across in front, Ronnie? So at this point, give it back to you, Mayor Mitchell.
Well, thank you very much, Chief, and to George, Ron, and Tim. We wish you the very best in retirement, and thank you very, very much for your service to our community. Thank you. Okay, colleagues, thank you. And we will now move on to our question period. Are there any questions?
No questions.
Okay. And we'll then move to our municipal officers and staff reports. And the first one is from Per to deal with some housekeeping.
No.
Thank you, Your Worship. Tonight, we're just presenting the housekeeping amendment that's been on the agenda to bring to council for quite some time. Just forward for review by council and comments. If you have any, we will be recommending, of course, that a public meeting be scheduled at a later date for the statutory public meeting and passage of the bylaw, of course, at a later time. My planning report outlines and summarizes what these amendments are about. There's 20 of them in the draft bylaw. They're generally of a technical nature. They just provide additional clarity and ease administrative burden is the intent of these amendments. Of course, one of the ones to be highlighted is bringing decks into for lot coverage purposes as part of the main lot coverage for the lot, as opposed to accessory lot coverage. But there's a number of other changes to definitions and some procedural changes to deal with consent applications, just to lessen the requirement for rezoning when we do lot addition consents or creation of new lots. Again, my report just summarizes, because of the technical nature of the amendments, there won't be any issues raised, or I don't foresee any issues being raised with the legal requirement of zoning bylaws not to affect the consistency and conformity of the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw with any provincial plans or policies. If you have any particular questions in regard to any one of the proposed amendments, I can take those, or if there are comments.
Thank you, Bear.
I welcome those.
Questions? Donna?
Through you to pair. Number 8, talking about Quonset houses.
Well,
huts.
Yep.
Quonset huts. Sometimes in the growing of cannabis outdoors, I think Rob referred to sometimes Quonset huts to start those plants. Would that be the same thing, or is this something different?
Yeah, so Quonset huts, it's just a term that hadn't ever been defined in our bylaw, but so typically they're prefabricated steel structures. They're effectively a half of a culvert. They're corrugated steel structures, large, 20 feet, 24 feet wide, and they're permitted. It's just we just wanted to ensure that we had some definitions to use when these things come before us.
But they're not the same as when we refer to those little Quonset huts over the cannabis plants. I think they were referred to that name too.
Yeah, so I think maybe, yeah, so typically in a kind of horticulture or agricultural context, they're hoop houses.
Oh, hoop houses.
Yeah, they're those are a bit different. They're essentially just steel hoops that are planted in the ground over which plastic is. So they're effectively very cheap versions of greenhouses. It kind of extends the growing season a little bit, right? It kind of lets you start a bit earlier and finish a bit later in terms of the growing season.
Okay, I had the wrong term for the hoop houses then. Thank you.
Yes, Sherry.
Yes, thank you very much for bringing this report forward. It really tightens things up, and that's a good thing. And we will be having the statutory public meeting, so the public can weigh in on it. And I would like to move the recommendation.
Thank you. And Donna will second it. Before I call the vote, I had some questions of my own. So when we pass the official plan, hopefully sometime in 2022, we'll need a comprehensive zoning bylaw at that time. Will anything that we're doing here, that will just sort of fit into that new comprehensive zoning bylaw?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thanks for the question. I don't foresee anything due to the technical nature and sort of the definitions that there would be anything that would conflict with whatever comes down through the new official plan update. On the other hand, there will likely be, I can almost definitely say that there will be a new comprehensive zoning bylaw review required as a result of the official plan update, because there'll be many new policies in that plan that will need to be reflected in the township's zoning bylaw going forward. But that we'll have to address that at that time.
But not likely to be any of these changes that we're doing right now.
No, Your Worship, I don't foresee any of these changes causing any issues going forward.
Yeah, on number 14, which is to deal with boathouses, and without suggesting one way or the other whether they make sense or not, but they do seem to be, as opposed to technical amendments, they do seem to be changing height restrictions, total area, and the setback. So I'm just wondering why that would be handled as a technical amendment, because it seems to be substantive in nature.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Thanks for the question. Again, because they are limited to affecting regulations within the township zoning bylaw and not conflicting with direction from higher policy, I think we can view these as more technical in nature to regulate this type of activity at the township level in terms of buildings and structures that we review applications for both from the building department and the planning department.
Yeah, and I think part of our goal in recommending these changes was just a reflection of the types of applications we're getting for minor variances, and the fact that virtually every instance that we've been considering variances, save for the setback from side lot line, we've granted it because we think it's an appropriate thing to do. And so the idea was, let's look at nuance changes to some of the regulations that we have in place that are creating a lot of minor variances, and find ways to maybe reduce those numbers, regardless of the fact that it's going to, may hurt our income a little bit, and that we won't be generating fees for minor variances. But if we routinely grant them in any event, let's just recognize that it's something we're prepared to do as a right.
Okay. That makes sense. On number 15, and I may not understand it correctly, I've observed, not in our township, but it might come to our township, where you see row density by density row housing, where you have a house that's connected to the next house with a common wall. So you may have one building with 6 units in it, 6 houses in it, right? They share a common wall. It's not uncommon to see these where there's a garage on the bottom floor and a little entrance to the side, and the living space goes up. And if you look at the front of those the front of it's taken up basically by the driveway and a walkway. And that's the front of the place because they're designed to go up. And I'm just wondering whether this provision would restrict that kind of development.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, potentially it's something we'd have to look at to consider the impact on row housing. I think the section, again, has sort of come up through historically in the past and recommendations brought forward in regard to the boarding house bylaw and creation of large parking areas in front of those areas. I think this particular amendment is a response to that.
And I think we're all very supportive of that. It's just to make sure that there isn't an unintended consequence somewhere else.
No, thank you. And that is a fair comment. I can see that typically when it comes to row housing type developments, that we develop site specific zoning criteria, and we'd have to be sensitive to the fact that in certain instances it would be appropriate to allow for a greater front yard, a greater percentage of the front yard that could be assigned to parking and other kind of landscaping features. So that's a good point. So yeah, keep that in mind.
And on number 17, that's great to see because I don't know how many of those we have to do as a matter of course. And in my time here, I don't think we've ever said no. So to make that automatic makes some good sense. Could you explain to me, because I don't understand it, number 19, what it is that we're achieving with that?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, I can do that one. That's something that I suggested be incorporated. Yeah, so what we have currently in our recreational commercial zone are two regulations that affect the size of trailers that can be placed on a trailer site. So that's regulated by a maximum trailer size and a lot coverage percentage. Right? That's really the only place where we see that. Typically, if we have a lot, it's the size of any structure that's permitted on the lot is dictated by lot coverage. So this one, what's happening is what we're finding on certainly some of the higher end trailer parks, people are putting larger trailers, and that's the trend. And so the thought was, that's the trend. This is what people are wanting. We still want to have some control over the size or the lot coverage of the lot. So maybe if you're going to have larger trailers, you should have larger lots. We still want to have that control, but I don't think we need to worry so much about limiting the size of the trailer. If in the end that the trend is that they be larger, then that's okay from our perspective. But we still wanted some control, and the thought was that we would have control if we just maintain the lot coverage.
So it's the size in relation to the lot as opposed to just the size. And if my memory serves me correct, we did deal with a minor variance on this issue.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
A couple of years ago.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much to both of you. There's a lot of work into this, and I appreciate it. So thank you. We have a motion that has been duly made and seconded. All those in favor? Or did you have another question? No. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll go to Rob for the Heritage Register non-designated properties recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this is something that council would be familiar with. It's an activity that the Heritage Committee does undertake on. We try to do it on an annual basis. So this is an additions to our Heritage Register. And so the committee takes it upon themselves to consider 30 or so buildings annually that they consider to be worthy of placing on the register. And in this year, they brought forward a report to council. We brought forward a report to council back in May, I believe. And council agreed to move forward with the 31 structures that were listed at that time. And in accordance with council's direction, the committee did hold a public information session on the 20th of October. After having provided letters to each of those affected individuals and having advertised the fact that we were having a public information center, we did manage to get about 16 people attend, and it was quite a. I think it was seen by the resident or the people who attended, most of which were people who owned houses that were being considered for the register. I think it was seen by them as an opportunity to learn, and for the most part, they were all in favor of allowing their houses to be listed. I think the report does note that there were 2 individuals that thought differently. So the properties at 15 Charlotte and 96 Queen have requested that they not be included on the list, and their letters of opposition have been included with the report, Mr. Chair. I do note that essentially inclusion on the list isn't all that onerous. It essentially prevents the chief building official from issuing a demolition permit for 60 days. And that 60-day period provides us with an opportunity to speak with the landowner to determine whether or not we wanted to consider moving forward with a proper designation. But in any event, I do note in my report that council is free to accept the recommendation that's made by the committee, which is that all 31 parcels be put on the register, or of course to exclude those that have recommended or requested that they be excluded. Thank you.
Rob? Don?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Rob, and the Heritage Committee, thank you for including the pictures. I find them very helpful.
Any comments?
Just a big decision on council. Is it the full 31, or do we pull the 2 that have requested not to be on the list?
Collins? Well, Anita's question is, there are 31 recommendations. There are 2 people who have indicated that they would prefer that we don't put them on the registry. So the question that I think Anita's asked, because I think she wants to formulate a motion, is whether it's council's will to do all 31, or is it council's will to do the 29? This time.
Well, before you actually did your registry, we did take 2 off, correct? That didn't want, we took 3 off. So Sullivan's, okay. So it's always been my opinion that if the owner did not want to be on the registry, I didn't feel that they should be forced. I don't know what the rest of council feels.
Gary?
Take the 2 out and I'll make the motion. The 2 that don't want to be on there, the balance 29 and 2. 2 gone.
And Rob, just to clarify, there was that third property that is, I think you talked about it in your report with regards to, I think we're going to do more follow-up with him as to whether or not it's basically like more of a rebuild renovation as opposed to, so that one particular property, it's still up in the air a little bit.
No, I think we're still recommending that it be included. It was just that it had been extensively renovated, and he didn't take issue with the notion that he'd be on the property. He just wanted to make sure that we knew that there had been quite an extensive renovation of the property.
Jerry's going to move that the 29, so that's excluding the 2. Is there a seconder for that? Donna will second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, we're on to the Psap compliance update for the 2021 budget. Lane.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. This is another housekeeping budget report. It basically ensures that the consolidated financial statement, when we do present it, clearly reflects council's wishes. So there are no changes to the tax levy, no real changes to the tax budget. It's just amendments council has already approved, and we're keeping, by bringing this forward, we're ensuring that we're in compliance with the Psap requirements.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, colleagues? Entertain a motion then. Okay, Jerry, seconded by Anita. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Lane. We're now into consent items. Who would like to pull some? Yes, Anita.
Under correspondence 6-1.
6-1. Okay, Donna,
Correspondence number 8.
so 6-8,
8.
plastic recycling,
Yep.
okay. 6-8. Very, no, very, no. Okay, and I'll pull 6-2 and 6-10. So 6-1, that was,
Just wanted to say it was a very nice article. With regards to the top distinction, I just can't recall the information, but I saw it in the Peterborough Examiner, so very well done and congratulations to us.
6-2, I was just going to mention that under the rules that are now in place, that neither the deputy mayor nor the mayor will be eligible to chair the Conservation Authority. So it will be, I will be stepping down after how many years I've been the chair. Too many, she says. Yes, okay. After 7 or 8 years, and because of the rules, Sherry's caught up in that as well. So I just want to mention that. Okay, 6-8, which is the plastic recycling. Yes. Donna.
Yes. I would like to recommend that council support this resolution from the town of Georgina. It's regarding the recycling of plastic from hail bays, boat shrink wrap, as well as hay bale bindings. This is currently not recyclable and it goes into the landfills. I've had many calls from farmers over the years that were concerned about, have been concerned about this, and it's a lot of waste. And they used to, in their burn barrels, at least be able to burn the wrap from the hay bales, but now that they're not to be having burn barrels, that's not possible either. And I spoke with the deputy mayor because she's on the county's waste management committee, and she has indicated that this committee has discussed the issue and sent a letter to OMAFRA, but have not heard back yet. So I think this should be recognized at higher levels of the government, which this motion from Georgina is being sent to a lot of different people. And I think it would be helpful to shed light on the issue. That's it. So I would like to move that if somebody else would support it.
So you're moving that we send a letter to the same people indicating that we support the position.
Well, I don't know if we have to send a letter, if we just indicate our support. How does that work, Tanya? Do we do a separate letter?
Yep, we'll do a separate letter and I'll CC Georgina, just advising that we support their resolution.
Okay.
Moved by Donna, second by Anita. All those in favor? Oh, sorry.
To Donna, I guess Anita with the seconder. If there's not a market for shrink wrap and hay bales, but if there's no market, it's just, what's the point of this? And I'm all for doing this, but if there's no market for it and somebody can't reuse it and make another product out of it, what's the point?
Well, I'm not so sure that, I haven't heard that there isn't necessarily a market. Maybe they can investigate it, just like organics, that we're trying to come up with a solution for organics. Maybe if it's highlighted and recognized, because some of these people that do not live in the country, and really boat shrink wrap is even more extensive than the hay bale coverings. I just think it's good to make them aware of it, and possibly somebody with greater minds than ours could come up with a way to recycle it. If they can't, they can't.
Thank you. And they'd have to be a pretty good man to outsmart this thing.
And the letter is not overly prescriptive. It's saying, let's see if we can find a way to do it. Okay, all in favor? Carry. Okay, I just wanted to mention 610, just a small point here. That request has been fulfilled, and for a very rare time that the House of Commons came together and unanimously passed the not allowing conversion therapy. So that has been accomplished, and I understand the Senate approved that today as well. So, okay, that is all we have for consent items. And now we will move on as soon as I can get my head together here. Peterborough County, nobody pulled committee reports. Okay, so we need a motion to accept consent items. Jerry, seconded by Anita. All those in favor, those are carried. Okay, we have no petitions, and so now we are into council portfolio updates. So Councillor Ballantyne.
Yes, I have no new news to report from our library board. Our meeting is next Tuesday, which will be the last one of the year. Police Services Board and Recreation Committee have not had meetings since I last reported, so they'll be in the new year. And the link, I have 2 sets of stats, November 15th to 19th. Route 31, which is the Curve Lake Lakefield, 111. Route 32, Ennismore Bridge North, 81. Both showed a decrease in ridership, and it was felt that it was due to weather. And from November the 22nd to the 26th, Route 31, which is the Curve Lake Lakefield, was down to 82. And Route 32, the Bridge North Ennismore, was up to 94. So it's good for that second route. And that's all that I have to report.
Thank you very much. And Economic Development, Councillor Sennett.
Thank you, through you. Shamong Lodge held a Christmas vendor shopping thing at Shamong Lodge today, and the parking lot was full. It was full of people, a lot of different gift ideas that you don't normally see in stores. They were all local vendors, and I think it was and you could even have lunch in the bar portion of the restaurant. So they were doing well with that too. So hopefully it's the first year they've done it, they'll continue it. There's a new sweet butter bakery and home decor in Bridgenorth. And you order through the website, and they sell cakes, cupcakes, homemade goodies, homemade home decor candles, and it's gluten-free and sugar-free options if you so wish. That's my report.
Very good. Councillor Heron, Public Works and Rec.
I too attended the Shamong Lodge extravaganza today, as I was there a little late Friday and had to do some penance today and go crafting. Yeah, very well attended in there, and some hot sauce and a few trinkets that we couldn't live without. The trails, we had a great trail meeting the other day on the Park and Rec side. Looking forward to the projects for next year, and with our work plans, engaging the people to give us their feedback into what they want. And with this crew being very active, I think we're going to come up with some really good ideas and have some a productive year next year. Michael also says that the staff is doing well, and they're looking forward to a few days off over the holidays. So Mike's working them too hard. Park and Rec, they're the roads guys. They're out fighting the weather right now with the snow and then rain, snow, then rain. And so they've been doing a pretty good job. And their goal this year is to have every single road plowed by 6 a.m. so that everybody's happy and they don't call and complain.
Thank you, Jerry. Anita?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you had a chance to read the Heritage Committee minutes from November, committee members gave a really nice tribute to Rob, as this was going to be his last meeting. So Grant did a great job of sort of opening up the comments, and we are really, really going to miss you, Rob, at the Heritage Committee. Lakeville Youth Unlimited is currently collecting dollars and gift cards until December 11th to make their clients and families Christmas a little happier. Community Care in Lakefield is having their annual Christmas bacon craft sale tomorrow from 9:30 to 3:30. And Lovesick Lake Native Women's Association has an online auction happening until December 19th. They have some really nice stuff. And then in our AMO emails that we get, one thing that sort of piqued my interest was we talk about Indigenous municipal relationship agreements, a guide for municipal leaders. And it talks about at the August 14th board meeting, the AMO Board of Directors approved 2 resource papers to assist municipal councils efforts to support truth and reconciliation. So they speak about a relationship agreement. The actual document that's attached to the AMO email is about, I think, 11 pages long. So I only kind of printed out the first, and the difference, it has more to do with, it's important to note that relationship agreements are outside of and apart from the formal duty to consult process. While municipal governments may have a role to play in discharging procedural aspects of the Crown's duty to consult, they do not have an independent duty to consult. Anyway, so I just thought it might be an idea for something for our staff to look into, whether it's something that we should be considering. As I was reading the document, I was thinking how much I missed the tri-council meetings that we have had in the past with Curve Lake and Trent Lakes. And anyway, so that's my report.
Thank you.
Should it be a motion? I'll make a motion that we ask staff to look into Indigenous municipal relationship agreements.
Okay, on my portfolio, I had an opportunity before the Santa Claus parade in Lakefield started to go by and thank the Lions for organizing that. Had a chance to attend the market in Lakefield. They did their holiday market on Sunday, and it was also well attended with lots of folks there, and lots of merchants. And I know the deputy mayor and myself, I'm not sure if anybody else had a chance to attend the food drive in Ridge North a couple of weeks ago. On the public health side, the new MOH, Dr. Pickett, started just the middle of last week. And he's met with the county warden and Mayor Peterborough, and we'll meet with the MPP and the MP at the end of this week. The children's vaccine, the 5 to 11, has been launched and is operating now. They're being done at the Healthy Planet late in the afternoon after school, and there are going to be 4 clinics that have been scheduled in the county, 2 of them in Selwyn for later in December. Across the province, I just have the stats today, 22.1% of children in the 5 to 11 category now receive vaccinations. So they moved fairly quickly on that. Also, you may have noticed that the eligibility for booster doses has been lowered to 50 as of December 13th. So just because there's a little bit of confusion here, the booking isn't available in advance. The booking is available on the 13th, so people can save there. Dr. Moore, who is the Ontario Medical Officer of Health, held a press conference today. He gave some interesting statistics. I'll just read them. You are 23 times at higher risk to go to an ICU if you are not vaccinated. COVID, and 13 times at a higher risk to go to the hospital. So it makes a significant difference. As most people, I suspect, colleagues you've seen in the news, we are now experiencing increasing cases across Ontario. That is also the case locally. We have 49 active cases. The part that really is shot up there, 415 close contacts from those cases that are now being tracked. And we unfortunately and tragically have had another death from COVID in our community. There are currently 4 active outbreaks in our area. They're all school related. So that's gives you some sort of idea where we're at. And since our last meeting, Ontario experienced its 10,000th death from COVID. A very tragic thing. And I know our condolences go out to everybody. Families have been affected by that. So that's my report. Who's that? Oh yes, we do have another piece of unfinished business, other business, and Councillor Valentine, do you want to?
Could I just ask you one question about your report?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you say that booking for people 50 and over starts before the 13th?
No, on the 13th.
On 13th, okay, thank you.
If I read it correctly, it starts at 8 a.m.
Okay. The new and unfinished business, the proposed resolution, which was moved by myself and seconded by the deputy mayor, is in response to a request from the residents of Corkline and lost the name of the other street, the one that runs up the other way. Sorry about that. But anyway, they're concerned that there would be new applications and that they could potentially be passed with our old cannabis bylaw, because our newest cannabis bylaw has been appealed. So they were asking that if we at least send a letter to Health Canada to make them aware of our situation and hope that they would not process any new applications for growing until the LPAT appeal is complete. And we do know that they might not listen to us, but I think it's worth giving it a try and making them aware of this. And it certainly would give the people that are in the area of Corkline and near any other lands some peace of mind that they may not consider any applications until the appeal has been heard, and there's no date for that.
Yes, I thank Donna for bringing this forward, and I agree. We want to try and stop anybody trying to slip through under the old rules when we had every intention of having the new ones in place. And I believe that this should go not only to the Minister at Health Canada, but also to our MP, Michelle Ferrari. And do we ever send anything to the Prime Minister? Maybe he should get a copy too. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I think if we could just make one slight correction. By the new the new bylaw 2021 doesn't actually repeal 2020-002. So if we could just take that reference to repealing bylaw 2020, it adds to it, right? So there are aspects of it that are changed, but
So it's amending. Not
yeah, yeah.
Are the mover and the seconder okay with that? Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Carry. Okay, that takes care of that. And so we're going to go into closed session, but before we do that, let's deal with bylaws. So we have the holding removal for the Durham Building Corporation. We have the CIP engineering design in Ennismore, the extension of the Buckhorn CIP program, and the active water haulage agreement. Moved by Sherry, seconded by Jerry. All in favor? Carry. A confirming bylaw. Donna, Anita, all those in favor? Okay, and we will adjourn this meeting. Jerry and Donna, and We are adjourned and we will reassemble, colleagues. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, staff, for all your hard work. Thank you.